Welcome back, beautiful and amazing people. Doc Jinzo here with another duel video for you today. We got a really special one. Meant to do this earlier, but just time got away from me, work stuff, all that good stuff. Anyways, we have MARINCESS on the left, piloted by Therese, versus Sprite on the right, piloted by yours truly, as we normal summon the super secret tech there, Hyperia, which on summon will let you draw a card. It is level 2, which is why we run it in the deck as a 1-of. With the Sprite Blue now being special summoned since I control level 2, but that's going to get Veilered. Now we're going to get up to make sure there's no glare on the cards because the lighting at this place where we filmed is just, it's atrocious, folks. It's not very good. But, yeah, so we're going to spec summon that Sprite Blue, and then we're going to spec summon a Sprite Carrot as well for that Spell Trap Negate. Going to now go into a gigantic Sprite here, it looks like. Now, we're not going to go into the Link first because there's nothing in the graveyard really to special. Even though the gigantic Sprite does get a boost from having a Link as material, it'll still serve its purposes well enough here, just in case he does have that Nibiru, because MARINCESS, like Sprite, sorry about this, I just got back from lunch, MARINCESS, just like Sprite, do indeed run a plethora of hand traps. We don't really run a lot of hand traps in this build. We run about like 2 Ogres and 3 Imperms, I believe, but we do run some going second cards like Cosmic and Evenly Matched, just in case, because we do want that out to Mystic Mine, as a Swap Frog is now summoned off the Gigantic Sprite's effect, sending a Rodent Toad into the grave. Now we're going to link it off to go into a Sprite Elf. Now the thing you'll know about the frogs is that they are not once per turn, which makes this deck super duper powerful. It makes it insanely powerful. So Swap Frog is now going to get summoned off the effect of Sprite Elf there as he reads the effect, seeing if he has a response here. And indeed he does. He does have the Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion for that Sprite Elf to negate the effect. Now, here's the interesting thing about Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. It negates the activation of cards. But Sprite Elf says you can only use the effect, not activate the effect. So that is our 1 use per turn off Sprite Elf, but Rodent Toad is now going to special summon himself. But we won't be able to go into our Totally Awesome this turn because we won't be able to summon back the Swap Frog like we wanted in order to get that Rodent Toad out back on the board. And the Rodent Toad can indeed summon itself multiple times per turn, which is fantastic as well. The Swap Frog being able to dump multiple times per turn as well. Just in a really good deck, really nice use of effects there. But with that new support and everything for level 2s and everything, the deck is just super powerful now, as we're just going to set 2 and pass. The thing about Sprite Elf is also it's a quick effect as well. So we will have some interaction on the opponent's turn, which is great, especially with that Hyperia in the graveyard. So first we're going to normal summon a MARINCESS Piscalis on the MARINCESS side. That's going to let him special summon a MARINCESS from the hand. Let's see if we have a response here. We do have a Ghost Ogre in the hand and a Paleozoic Canadia set to make sure that he can't link off with anything. Paleozoics, pretty good in Sprite. People run Sprite Paleo, but they say it's a little slow. I put a little small engine in mine. I put, I believe, 2 Dynamicius and 2 Canadia in the deck just for a little bit. I did have one of the MST as well, but I said take it out. But we're going to Ghost Ogre that Piscalis to make sure he doesn't get something. And looks like he's going to go into the Seahorse, and then once that Seahorse hits the board, we're going to flip it face down with Canadia. Now, you'll notice here he didn't pick a very good zone to put that that Seahorse in, and he's going to find that out soon enough, as MARINCESS Spring Girl is now being activated from the hand. He did indeed have the Spring Girl, so he definitely had that that follow-up there to be able to play through those interruptions. And since we weren't able to go into Totally Awesome that turn, it's not really a good spot for us. But with that zone being occupied, it'll definitely be a little bit rougher here, since he cannot link with a face down. Going into MARINCESS Blue Slug now, there's the effect on the screen. We're not going to... We do tend to use the effects for the extra deck monsters, but for the little ones, we just put their effects on the screen. Blue Slug's now going to add that Spring Girl back, and he just realized now that his zone that he needed is taken up a little bit. So he's going to add that Spring Girl back. He can only special summon the Spring Girl like that once per turn, unfortunately. So he's definitely going to have some distance to make up for here, as Sprite Elf is going to get chained to the effect of the Blue Slug, summoning out the Sprite Blue, and the Sprite Blue is now going to add a Sprite Pixies to the hand. Sprite Pixies, some decks don't run it. I don't know why. It's literally a searchable honest and also an extender. There's no downside to the card, in my opinion. And with my build, I find that drawing monsters, especially sprites, is the pretty big weakness of my build for the deck, so I want to run as many monsters as I can. Not like 3 carat or anything, but I did up carat to 2, and I am running Pixies at 3 because, again, it isn't honest. It gets over a lot of the Floodgate monsters that people put out. It gets over Vandy's Ruler for Drytron. It gets over any MARINCESS monster, even with Battle Ocean for MARINCESS matchup. And it also gets over a rival for the AI matchup. So, yeah, Sprite Pixie is a very powerful card, and also you can extend with it, so it's not just dead in your hand. It's just a fantastic card, and I don't know why people kind of look down on it to a degree. So, Blue Slug is going to attempt to swing at the Elf, and we're just going to go ahead and throw that Pixies away there to make sure the Elf stays on the board, because that's what we want, that follow-up for the next turn. And he's going to take 1400 damage because, again, Pixies is literally just an Honest. So, it's going to add the attack of the Blue Slug there, as now we overlay with the Elf and the Blue to go into another Gigantic. And then Gigantic's going to use his effect. Now, the Gigantic now is actually 3200 because of the fact that Elf is under it, which is fantastic because it doubles its attack if it has a Link 2 under it as material. Because its effect says you can use Link 2 as material, and we're just going to go to game 2 when we summon that Swap Frog. He knew we had just too much follow-up there. Alright, game 2 here with a Piscalis now being normal summon to start us off. And let's see what he has for us here as he summons a Spring Girl from the hand. Looks like he didn't have that blue Tang to summon out the Piscalis, which is a little bit unfortunate, or the Seahorse as well. A little bit unfortunate that he had to waste a Spring Girl there. But that does add a little bit of an extra summon there if he goes into the Blue Slug, because he does get the Spring Girl back, and then he can just keep going because he hasn't summoned the Spring Girl off its own effect yet. Going right into that Blue Slug now, targeting the Spring Girl, adding it back to hand now. We already put the effect of Blue Slug up on the screen, so we're not really going to do that again. Going into Piscalis now, going into Sea Angel. Sea Angel is going to add a spell to the hand, which is just fantastic for MARINCESS with that new spell they have called Dive. But he could also add a Battle Ocean if he wants to. Very good support for MARINCESS came out. MARINCESS has been topping pretty often as well. They topped at Nationals, and they also been topping locally as well, adding the Battle Ocean, actually not adding the Dive, which is pretty interesting. He might already have it in the hand. Let's see what happens here. As he links 2 now into probably a Cruel Anemone, if I had to guess. Yes, indeed, he is going to go into a Cruel Anemone. There she is on the screen right there. Not Secret Rare, unfortunately, but it is Ultra, so he's about halfway there with the rarity bumps. Activating the Battle Ocean now before he attempts to use the effect of the Cruel Anemone, because the Cruel Anemone is not an on-summon effect. Now activating a MARINCESS Dive. Now that'll let him special summon a MARINCESS from the deck. Usually they use it to special summon from the graveyard, but since he has Battle Ocean on the board, he can actually just take a pick from his deck. He's going to summon the Blue Tang from the deck and actually send the Seahorse and not the Mandarin, which is an interesting play there. But the Seahorse is going to get sent to the graveyard. Seahorse, very good extender for the deck as well. Just have to have that zone open for it, which he didn't really have last game, which is unfortunate. Now, special summoning back the Piscalis off the effect of Cruel Anemone. Now we're going to overlay 2 into a Bahamut Shark, most likely. Yes, indeed, there's the Bahamut Shark. And that'll let him put a Toad on the board just in case the opponent has any hand traps in the hand that he doesn't want to have to deal with. So he's going to attempt to use the effect of Bahamut Shark here, detaching to special summon a Totally Awesome from the extra deck. And that's going to be an Imperm on the Bahamut Shark. That's going to negate the effect. And he did have to detach for cost, so which in MARINCESS is not a bad thing, because you want your stuff in the graveyard because they recycle so much. They recycle almost as much as AI. Cyber's decks really tend to recycle a lot, and it is very, very good for sure. Salads, MARINCESS, all that good stuff. Hope they get a Salad MARINCESS matchup on the channel soon. Just fire and water, you know. Now we're going to go ahead and link 3 here, see what it goes into. Looks like he's going to go into a Marbled Rock here. Marble Rock, really good card if you don't really want to go into Coral Triangle. Coral Triangle and Marble Rock, the main 2 link 3s that you run in the deck, they're very good. Marble Rock being able to specimen from the grave and also adding back cards as well whenever she's sent to the graveyard, which is great. And also Battle Ocean not being once per turn. Did not realize that myself. What is it with me and field spells and not realizing that they're not once per turn? Like Libromancer, I also did not realize that wasn't once per turn as well. But we're going to go into Marble Rock. Marble Rock's going to bring something back, and then we're going to the Seahorse, and then we're going to link 4 into an Aqua Argonaut. Very, very good card, Aqua Argonaut. Lets him have that spell trap negate, which is great. Unfortunately, he didn't have it for the Imperm, but that being said, it definitely helps against stuff like Nibiru and all that other stuff, which Sprite do tend to run because, again, they run a lot of hand traps, and you don't want to run into a lot of those hand traps. Like MARINCESS also run a lot of hand traps. Very hand trap-centric format, this format, as well as Floodgates. So he's just going to sit on the Aqua Argonaut and pass turn. He's going to sit on that 1 negate because and he does have the MARINCESS Wave in the hand, which is why he did not go into scroll triangle there. Looks like we're going to discard Nimble Beaver from the hand and normal summon, or special summon Swap Frog, my apologies. That is an inherent summon, not an active effect, so he can't really respond to it. But now the Swap Frog is going to attempt to use this effect to dump from the deck. Let's see if he uses that wave or decides to keep it for something a little bit more substantial here. And he's going to use that MARINCESS wave. Now, the cool thing about MARINCESS wave, he can use it from the hand if he has a link 3 or higher, and also it makes all his water monsters unaffected. All his face-up monsters, not just water. So all of his face-up monsters are now unaffected, which I forget about later in the match, but it don't really matter too much. But I mean, it's definitely a good card for sure. And the fact that most MARINCESS cards can recycle it back to the hand is just fantastic. It's just like they have to play through an imperm every single turn of the game, which is just fantastic. And if you're running the Crystal Heart build and you're able to go into Crystal Heart and equip it to like Aqua Argonaut or something, making it unaffected by everything, they're going to have a really tough time getting over your board there. But now we're just going to sit back and think about this. Special summoning of Sprite Pixies from the hand. Again, this is why I run Pixies, and that was the only other monster in the hand as well. Just got to have those sprites in the hand in order to make your plays, just in case something like that happens. So we're going to link 2 now into a Sprite Elf. And the Sprite Elf will actually get summoned to a zone that the Aqua Argonaut points to. And that Swap Frog is going to be in the grave. Again, Swap Frog is not once per turn, so that Sprite Elf, if it's not negated, we'll be able to special summon back that Swap Frog, and we'll still get our dump, which is great. And we have not yet normal summoned this turn as well, so we can actually return the Swap Frog to the hand, normal summon it, and still have a normal summon of a frog monster off the Swap Frog's bet, because he can't summon himself off his own effect. Looks like he's going to return himself to the hand, normal summon for turn, and then the Swap Frog is now going to dump again. That way we'll have 2 frogs in the grave. We'll be able to go into Toad if we need to, which is just fantastic. Again, the negation of the MARINCESS wave didn't really factor in too much. It did to a degree. We're not going to be able to go full combo here, but we are going to be able to do a lot of good stuff. As Elf is now on the field, as well as the 2 frogs in the grave. We could go into Totally Awesome here, but he is sitting on that big Aqua Argonaut as well as another Bahamut Shark with another material. So we're going to want to break his board more so. So we're going to go into Gigantic Sprite now to accomplish that, as we send the Swap Frog to the graveyard for the material. And it is a 3200 Gigantic Sprite now, so he is going to be able to run over the Bahamut Shark, but not the Aqua Argonaut here. So I'm like, never mind. Anyways, we are going to detach to summon from the deck. Now, that detach is not for cost, so if they Ghost Ogre it, it can't detach for its effects, so it's not going to be able to do it. So the detach is not for cost, it's part of the effect. So we're going to special summon Sprite Blue from the deck now. Sprite Blue is now going to let us add a Sprite to the hand. We can add a Jet, we can add a Carrot for monster effects as well. Or not Carrot, Red for monster negates as well. We're going to add that Sprite Pixies to the hand, because again, it isn't honest, so it'll allow us to run over that Aqua Argonaut, which is just a fantastic way to do things. Unfortunately, we put the Sprite Blue in defense mode like just a chump, so we won't be able to use it to run over the Aqua Argonaut, but that's okay, because we have other stuff in the grave. So we're going to banish Dewfrog to special summon the Ronin Toad, and Ronin Toad at 100 attack points. But again, Sprite Pixies does not require a Sprite to attack. It just requires a Link, rank, or level 2 to attack in order to get that buff. And so now we're going to think about the next part of our play here. Overlaying the Ronin Toad and the Sprite Blue now to go into Onibimaru, the Soul Eater, or whatever his name is. Soul Searcher? I'm not quite... Soul Banisher. There we go. He's going to detach to attempt to target the Bahamut Shark to banish it, but again, MARINCESS wave says all of his stuff's unaffected, not just the Aqua Argonaut. So we're going to banish some back the Ronin Toad, and now we have enough to break his board here as we go to battle phase. Ronin Toad's going to swing at the Argonaut, and then we're going to pitch the Sprite Pixies and damage calc. And then that's just going to be the end of the Aqua Argonaut. That's going to be 100 life points off him, but we're going to calculate that at the end of the battle phase now. And we still have that 3200 Gigantic Sprite on the board, as well as an Onibimaru for 1900 damage. Not a lot of damage, but we do have those 2 cards in our hand for back row that'll put some extra pressure in the following turns. But he does get a lot of effects off those MARINCESS that went to grave, so he's thinking about putting the He is going to put the Aqua Argonaut back into his extra deck here. And let's see what he decides to add off the other effects. That's the only one that he's adding off that effect, unfortunately. So the Bahamut Shark is not going to get swung over by the Gigantic Sprite, and then the Onibimaru is probably going to swing for 19 here if we're not stupid. Yes, indeed, we are going to swing with Onibimaru for 19 for a total of 2600 damage, setting 2, and then passing the turn to MARINCESS. Now, he does have a pretty healthy hand here, so he'll definitely be able to do stuff, but let's see if we have the responses needed. So normal summoning a Seahorse here. Looks like he doesn't have a very good normal summon in his hand, but he does have the Seahorse. If he has the dive in his hand, it'd be very, very good for him at the moment. activating Sprite Smashers here because we don't want to let him get his Link climbing off here. So we're going to banish the Uneven Mar and banish the Pixies from the graveyard in order to non-target banish any card in his field. So we're going to go ahead and banish that Seahorse. And now Spring Girl is going to get activated, banishing one Marincess from the graveyard in order to summon herself. We did not count on him having the second Spring Girl in the hand, which is actually very, very good for him. Looks like he's going to link it off now, going into a Link 1 Marincess here. Going to go into Sea Angel, and then using that effect to search for a spell, which he does indeed get off here. Now, that's very, very good because he can go get the dive, and the dive's going to let him summon from deck, although he does forget his Spring Girl mill, unfortunately. Activating the dive now to summon from the deck, since he does control Battle Ocean. Probably going to go get that Tang, but again, he needs to dump that Mandarin. I don't think he's actually has the Mandarin in his deck right now, but he's going to summon the Marincess Blue Tang, and then the Blue Tang is going to get its effect to dump if it's not negated. Tang effect to dump now. Let's see what he decides to dump here. He could dump anything that he wants to get back off Blue Slug, because he does have those slugs in his extra deck. He's going to dump a Seahorse since we banished his other one, and he hasn't yet special summoned the Seahorse with its own effect. Again, very good reading into the plays, and being able to plan for later in his turn, which is great, across all those interruptions. So it looks like he's going to link 2 now. Let's see if he goes into another Coral Anemone or if he's running anything else. Looks like he's going to attempt to go into Splash Mage instead, and actually the effect of Blue Tang will actually go off here because it doesn't specify a Marincess monster, I don't think. But again, if it's wrong, let me know in the comments. But he's going to attempt to resolve the effect of Blue Tang here, and whiffs hard too. Ash Blossoms and a Ghost Ogre. Very, very not good to see there, unfortunately. And he does go into the Splash Mage, though. So Splash Mage can special summon back from the grave, but if you notice in our hand, we did have a Call by the Grave, so we can definitely hit whatever he's going to target with that Splash Mage. Looks like he's going to attempt to target the Spring Girl with the Splash Mage, and then that's just going to get banished off Call by the Grave. And again, he forgot his mill, unfortunately. So we'll have to see what else he decides to do here. Swinging into the Rodentone with the Splash Mage there. Setting 1 and intending to pass the turn. Forgot to take off the life points, I guess. Apologies in post there. But don't really feel like doing an edit for that. I guess I'll just put an edit in the cut version. But yes, looks like we're going to detach for Sprite or Gigantic Sprite now. Here's the thing about that. The Gigantic Sprite is now going to be 1600 once again, and then the Imperm that he set last turn is going to be activated to negate the Gigantic Sprite, unfortunately, so we won't be able to go into crazy combos, but we did top deck a Ghost Ogre, so we can link off if we want to. Swinging into Gigantic Sprite into the Splash Mage for 500 damage, since Splash Mage is 1100, and Gigantic is 16 at the moment, not 32. And let's see if we decide to link 2 or just pass the turn here. Because, again, this deck can make a lot with a little. Sprite is super duper powerful. Normal summoning the Ghost Ogre now looks like we're going to link 2 because all Sprite Elf takes is a Link, rank, or level 2 monster and one other monster. So we're going to go into Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf's going to special summon back from the graveyard. Any level 2, or if he controls a monster, rank 2, or link 2. So we're going to go into level 2. We're going to get a Sprite Blue. Sprite Blue is going to search on special summon for any Sprite monster. Very good card, $100 card. And I actually pulled 2 at the pre-release, so I got very, very lucky. So we're deciding between Sprite Jet and Sprite Red, I believe. And looks like we're eyeing that Jet pretty hard there. Gonna grab the Sprite Jet from the deck now. Sprite Jet is basically Sprite Blue, but instead of searching a monster, it searches a spell or trap. So Sprite Jet's gonna search a spell or trap, which will allow us to get a Sprite Starter from the deck. Sprite Starter, very, very good spell card. It's basically a quick launch. You can only activate 1 per turn, though, unlike quick launch. So we're going to special 1 Sprite monster from the deck. They'll lose life points equal to its attack, so we're going to go into Sprite Carrot. And again, we're just putting that carrot out there just in case he draws that dive. All he needs to do is top deck a dive, and he'll be able to go ham. So we want to be able to negate that. Sprite Carrot contribute any other rank 2, or level 2 monster other than itself to negate a spell or trap, and if it tributes a Link 2 or rank 2 monster to do that, it'll also destroy the card, which is fantastic. We're going to overlay Sprite Jet and Sprite Blue now to go into a Crumble Logos. Very interesting card for me to be running in my extra deck, but it's interesting. Now we're going to target the Battle Ocean with the Crumble Logos. Now, as long as Crumble Logos is on the board, that Battle Ocean is negated, which is a really cool effect, and I really like Crumble Logos because of that. Very, very good card for this matchup. Very nice card for this matchup as well. He's going to top deck and set one card and pass the turn. Elf's going to activate at the end of his main phase to special summon something. Let's see what we decide to special summon. We could just summon a Sprite Jet again and get another search. That's exactly what we're going to do here. And we're going to add another Sprite starter to the hand. Again, just this deck can accomplish so much with so little, and it's just such a fantastic deck. Not really running too many frogs, so we're not able to specimen that Ronin Totem back as much as we want to, but at the same time, you don't really want your frog package to be too large, because you don't want that to be all you see. Now we're going to activate the effect of Elf, targeting the Ronin Totem to special it. And then we're going to overlay with the Elf and the Jet to go into another Gigantic Sprite. That Gigantic Sprite's now going to be 3,200. We're not going to put the fancy effect because I really got tired of editing. So we're going to detach now to special another Swap Frog from the deck. Swap Frog's going to dump. Looks like we're going to dump another... let's see, we're going to dump another Swap Frog because it can dump itself, which is pretty cool. And we are set up for pretty much game here if we're going to go into the card that I think we're going to go into here. We're going to overlay 2 here now. We're going to overlay the Ronin Totem and the Carrot now to go into a Cat Shark, baby. Cat Shark, let's go. Detaching, targeting the Gigantic Sprite. The Gigantic Sprite is now 6,400 attack, and we're going to drop our deck like just a chump there. Just getting so excited about this play. And we do have the Ronin Totem back engraved with another Swap Frog, so we are able to specimen back the Ronin Totem to go into Totally Awesome, just in case he has something there that can stop this attack, which we don't really want. So we're going to banish the Swap Frog, specimen back the Ronin Totem. He is now top decking at the moment with one set monster and a negated Battle Ocean, so it looks like we're pretty much set up for game here. But just in case he has something wily, we're going to put that Totally Awesome out. And indeed, that's what we're going to do here. Overlay 2, go into the main monster of the deck. Totally Awesome there, which can be specimen back off Elf, which is kind of cool. But they have to control a monster for that. So we're not going to go into battle phase. Crumble Logos is going to swing his face down, which is just an Ash Blossom. And then 6,400 and 22 for game. Sprite take the match.